Three, two, one. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, man. It's been a fucking busy week.
Yeah. What you doing?
Taking a picture. There we go. That's what I needed. Okay.
Gotcha.
Let me make you big. Let me make you big, dog. Morgan, if you don't fucking quit, I swear to God.
That's Morgan for anybody who's watching this.
Hi, baby. Hi, baby. How are you?
Everybody, welcome to another installment of the Logic Podcast Sunday Morning Coffee edition. It's the only edition, but it sounded cooler that way. Um,
There's more than one version. This
no,
is the
that's
platinum. This is the platinum podcast version.
yes, exactly. Um, all right, Joe. So, what do you got for us today?
I got some current events that we can talk about. So one, I think it's kind of a good idea to do like world current events because of how much we have going on here. I mean,
All right.
I definitely haven't been paying attention to um, like anything other than how fucked up the U.S. is right now. So, like, for one thing, there's a big flood in Indonesia right now. I don't know what caused it, but this is shit that you used to hear about all the time. They'd be like, oh, Indonesia flooded or whatever. But there's a bunch of shit in here that nobody knew about. Like in Nigeria, the government is trying to make all of its citizens um, tie their national identification number to their phone number. So it
Okay.
would be like your cell phone or my cell phone is tied to my social security number.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know what the purpose is, but then uh, it's a huge issue because the fucking government put a deadline like, okay, this has to be, you have to get there and get your national identification number tied to your SIM card or your phone number by this date. But
Yeah.
then like the whole process has been so convoluted that nobody can like really like achieve this. So everybody's worried about losing their phone numbers, and then they're forced to gather in like large groups of people in the middle of a pandemic to try to try to accomplish this goal.
That's a little crazy for them to want to make them do that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
and I don't know. I mean, like, could you imagine if you had to like you tied your social security number to your phone? Like, I don't think like for like the average person that it would really matter that much. Like, if my social security number was tied to my phone number, then it'd be like, okay, it is what it is. Like
right,
obviously you're not going to punch in my social security number to call me
right.
because then I'd have a problem with it. I'd be like, no, 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 hang on. I don't want everybody fucking knowing my social security number. But like, I don't. I guess I don't really know the purpose.
Yeah, that's a. I don't know why they would. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like I can't see a purpose to having your phone number tied to your social security number or your ID national identification
Other
number.
than just like, I guess like tracking, more like keeping your information. Like they could be like, well, who? I don't even know a good example.
Yeah, I don't know why that'd be a good thing. I can't even think of one.
I mean, maybe for like crime purposes.
You got fingerprints for that.
Yeah, I know, but like anything helps. Yeah, fingerprints. Oh, he used gloves. Like
Yeah.
he called the house, but he blocked his number.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is like you block the number, you unblock the number, you call this, you text that. Like, what is that gonna get you?
I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean, I think that's
I
kind
think
of
it's
a
weird. I think it kind of goes into like everything else. Where like everybody's just like what's the phrase? Like the one who has the most information has the most power or something like that, or like information is power. Like
yeah,
the more information you have, the more powerful you are. So you got like Big Brother, or in this case, the Nigerian government trying to tie your national identification number to your phone. I think I don't know the purpose, but could you imagine if that happened here?
Yeah, people would lose their minds.
I think there'd be a lot of people that would get rid of their cell phones and go back to using like a CB radio.
Yeah, and they would just turn it off or be like, "No, I don't got a cell phone. Bye."
I mean, like I would be against it 100%. Like if they were like, "Yeah, you have to go to this place and tie your social security number to your phone number," I'd be like,
Later. I don't need a phone.
"This is my mailing address. Send me a pigeon, cuz."
You and Randy with your pigeons.
Hell yeah! I wouldn't tie my social security number to my phone. It'd be terrible.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great way to just even get like even more information on it. I mean, it already drives me crazy enough that I can get on Google and I'll look up like we were just trying to figure out my mic, so I like Googled like noise gate thresholds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like got ads on the side of the screen for shit that I was talking about yesterday. Like I didn't Google any of it yesterday, but now it's got ads all over the side of my screen about it. It's like that shit drives me nuts.
Somebody so paranoid, you're always watched.
I know. But then I do see those videos that make me laugh where like the girls are like, picking up their boyfriend's phones and they're like engagement
Yeah,
ring,
exactly.
diamond ring. I want to do one as a guy where it's like super duty, half ton, 3/4 ton.
Yeah.
Something like that. And shit would be funny. What else we got? What are the other freaking?
It snowed a ton here. That's a
That's
world
what
event.
I heard. Dude, there's supposed to be a winter, um, a winter storm like coming through here. Like I don't
Yeah.
know how bad it's gonna be. I think Huffman, which is like 30 minutes north of here,
Yeah.
um, they have like a winter advisory where it's gonna be like a freezy mix or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're talking about sending crews out of town to help with like ice storms. They sent like major underground and stuff up to New York City,
Really?
to help with their um all their underground shit. Well, New York City is all underground for distribution and transmission.
Yeah, that makes sense with how big it is.
Well, there's there's just so much concrete that they just can't. You can't have large transmission towers and you know power poles and everything lining every street. There's no room.
No, too big of a place. I mean, too
Yeah,
much
so
stuff in one area.
like a transmission line. Like if you got like 795, which size of the wire, it's like that big around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got like underground transmission, which it's like insulated, and that motherfucker's like this big around.
Damn.
Run through, yeah, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, hopefully it won't be too fucking cold next week. There was a heifer in Britain that was named Posh Spice that set
Nice.
the record for uh, how much it was sold for.
Okay.
$360,000.
Was that a show heifer?
No, it was not.
Why did it
It was
sell
not.
for that much? Because it was named Posh Spice.
Huh?
Can't be sold for that much because his name's Posh Spice. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it did have the heifer did have really good genetics. It was a
Oh,
really
okay.
good. I saw a picture. It was a good looking heifer. Like it was a it was a good looking heifer, but
$360,000.
$360,000 set a record.
A little much. A little much, in my opinion.
Oh, there was a a woman who was a secretary at a female concentration camp that got charged with complicity to 10,000 murders.
Damn.
Yeah, and like I was reading about this, and I was like, this is fucking weird. It's like her name and everything was like kept out of it, so like it doesn't say who it was or where she's at or anything like that. But what it is like they, um, how they're always hunting down like war criminals and shit.
Still,
So
even though
she
they're
was a,
most
a
of them are
she
almost dead.
was a secretary to somebody who like ran that place,
Oh,
this female concentration camp, and so I guess she was forced to do it. I don't know. I don't know if she was forced to do it or not. But because she was under the age of 18 when this shit was happening, she's she's an old woman now, right? Like so
Right.
she was just under 18 in like 1944 to 45. So now she's an old woman and she's being tried in a adolescent court for for like
What?
yeah, she's being tried as like a 17-year-old for, you know, helping in 10,000 murders. You know what I mean? This whole
What?
story is bananas.
Wait, what? No, like if okay, all right, like all right. If you want to charge her as a like, if you were gonna say like, I thought you were going a totally different route with that. I thought you were gonna say that because she was a minor when she did it, it's not feasible to charge her as an adult. So they were gonna wash it. Like they were gonna find some loophole, and that was gonna be like this lawyer's biggest deal was that they were able to wash it because she was under 18. No,
No.
you come out the gate with she's in juvenile court at 80 some years old.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to fuck it up.
So if she was 18 and 44, then yeah, she's
Well, and I don't know her exact age. But,
right. But I'm just doing rough math here. That would be, I mean, she's got to be in her 80s
okay. I'm gonna read this story. I'm gonna read the story.
or 100 almost.
This is so a former secretary from the Stutthof Nazi concentration camp has been charged with complicity in the murders of 10,000 people. German prosecutors said Friday in what is a rare case involving an alleged female concentration camp staff member. Prosecutors in Itzehoe, I don't know how to say that, did not name the woman, but said in a statement that they charged her with aiding and abetting murder in more than 10,000 cases, as well as complicity in attempted murder. The woman, who was a minor at the time of the alleged crimes, is accused of having assisted those responsible for the camp and systematic killing of Jewish prisoners, Polish partisans, and Soviet Russian prisoners of war in her function as a stenographer and secretary commander between June 1943 and April 1945. The prosecutor said in the statement she will face a juvenile court because she was under 18 when she served in Stutthof. Estimated about 65,000 people were murdered during the Holocaust in the Stutthof concentration camp near the Polish city named Gdansk.
How many million?
65,000.
Oh, 65,000. Damn, number blew my memory out of the water. All right.
Well, this is just at that one camp.
Right. I knew that, but I was saying like the amount of the total number in my head that I remember from class and stuff in history. I was like, they left that one out because that would definitely change that number.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, this is just that one Stutthof concentration camp near this Polish city.
See, my question is these guys that are still hunting these guys down, and I'm all for it. I think they should hunt them down if they're still alive. I mean, they're coming up on. I mean, almost been coming up closer to getting to 80 years. 80 years. But it's less than 80. Less than 80 years. But I'm saying most people don't live much past 80 anyway. So, like, if there's people left from these war crimes, like, good on them, go find them. But they're gotta be close to 100 by now.
Yeah, I think for a while, like after like World War II and shit, it was like pretty in the forefront to like track these war criminals down and shit. And I think now it's like not really. I don't think there's people that are out there actually hunting this shit down.
Okay.
I think it's like you got historians doing their job, like looking through stuff, and they make like a new discovery or a new connection, and then they're like, wait a minute, this girl here was a secretary there for 3 years or whatever, and like she was a part of this. Like she doesn't just get off scot free, you know. And then now because there's new evidence, people have to follow the law, and I don't think there's like actual like teams of people that are like out hunting these people. I think it's just as new connections are made and new evidence is like brought up that they, you know.
Yeah.
We'll
I mean,
jump on it. Like it
imagine
also
like
says
this.
like last summer, a 93-year-old former guard identified as Bruno D was convicted of thousands of counts of being an accessory to murder and given 2 year suspended prison sentence. He too was tried as juvenile court because he was 17. Uh,
2 years is a long time when you're that old.
yeah, I mean that's it. That's his life. That's what he's got. He's 93.
Yeah.
He was convicted when he's 93. But it says a 2 year suspended sentence. So I think they were like, hey, you got 2 years, but bad.
Yeah, you're
You
about to
know?
die. So like, you
Mm-hmm.
live with that. We're just gonna let everybody know you did it.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't think there's like groups of people. I could be wrong. I'm not a super genius,
Right,
but
but
like I feel like there's people like it's just whenever more shit comes up.
now I could see like in the '60s, '70s, '80s, like hunting those people down. Sure.
Yeah, 50s for sure.
Yeah, I mean like
Probably the 50s more than the 60s and 70s
yeah, like
because the
'50s.
50s it was fresh, in the 60s and 70s we got Vietnam and everything going on.
Yeah, that's true. Re-listen to off topic of world events, but re-listen to the a podcast on We Were Soldiers. I, I've seen the movie, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
the book and the synopsis of whatever the book the guy who was doing the podcast read, it was still amazing stuff what those guys did there for that one thing.
Yeah.
My favorite line from the whole thing is the. It's not I understand the situation was bad, but it's just like some dude in the back of my mind is yelling "broken arrow," just like running across the field. And then I got you over here. I play video games with like broken arrow, send it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good scene. I think my favorite quote from that movie, it's like a two-part quote where, like, obviously, like Mel Gibson plays this colonel. Well, he's a lieutenant colonel in the beginning of the movie, and then he becomes a full-bird colonel by the end. But
Hmm.
um, they're like heavy into this fighting. They've been there for like a day or two or whatever. And this is from the movie. I don't know if this really happened. But it was like he was talking to his sergeant major, and he's like, I wonder if this is how Custer felt when he realized that he led his men to slaughter. And then Sam Elliott there as the sergeant major, he's like, "Sir, Custer was a pussy." I love it. It's like my favorite.
Yeah, it's that Sam Elliott in that movie does a great job. He's like, if any of you call me grandpa, I'll kill you.
Oh yeah. After yeah. There was a suicide bombing in Baghdad.
Okay.
It's actually a dual suicide bombing. There was two bombers,
Huh.
and they killed like 32 people, and there's like 110 people injured. And this is the first time in 2 years that there's been a suicide bombing in Baghdad.
Okay.
So,
Things are starting to get on the move again, or what? They just
I mean, there's nutbags everywhere. I mean,
yeah.
it's really it. I mean, like we were there in Baghdad. We fixed some shit or we broke some shit, depending on how you really want to fucking look at it. But um, for Baghdad did not have a suicide bomber in like 2 years is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty messed up when you guys were over there.
Mm, let's see here. What else does it say about it? ISIS claimed responsibility. It says without offering evidence, ISIS claimed responsibility. Okay, so a lot of like extremist groups or terrorist groups will claim, different bombings or whatever
Hmm.
without offering evidence. So there's no proof that it was ISIS, but they says they claim responsibility for the attack in a statement published on its official channels on Friday.
As an official channel, like a TV station,
No,
like you
it
can
doesn't
tune
have.
into ISIS.net. Like, is this a thing?
No. But like they have um, like they'll post videos on the internet and shit. Like they have like specific websites they'll post shit on. You know.
Whoever's
Like
listening to this,
our channel would be like for this is like Spotify and all that shit.
yeah,
That's our main channel. But it says double bombings were common in the country during the height of its sectarian war between 2005 and 2007, and since then it's like dropped off.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Whoever's listening to this, don't go look up like ISIS.net. That's not a real thing. Please don't have the government come looking for you. Not a good thing to do. So that sucks though. Sucks for all the people. I mean, but yeah, 2 years of that one. That's good.
Yeah, big deal. It's a big deal. What else do I got? Oh shit. Oh yeah, and Iran. Um, the Iranian president Hassan Rouhani
Mm-hmm.
wants Biden to lift. He wants Biden to lift the sanctions imposed by Trump on Iran for like their nuclear deal.
Nah.
And he's calling Trump a terrorist, and he wants Biden to go back to how Obama had it in like 2015.
What, he could do whatever he wants?
It's so stupid.
I mean, like,
It's so stupid.
like the apology tour. The apology tour.
I don't know how true this is. I read this like a couple weeks ago, and it said like we were first talking about Iran wanting to lift the sanctions on their nuclear deal,
Mm-hmm.
and Israel said some shit like, if you lift the sanctions on Iran, we will launch a nuclear strike against Iran or some shit like that. Like, it's,
Sounds like Israel.
I don't know how true that is. I don't remember where I read it. It could have been like completely made up, but
That sounds like Israel, though.
Man, that's one country I really don't want to piss off is Israel, man. That fucks
No.
shit up.
They've been fighting for thousands of years on all sides. They're literally the one country that's surrounded by their enemies 24/7.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, that stuff is ridiculous. Like, no, we don't give another country that's known for having a hotbed for terrorist activity nuclear rights. Like, don't do it.
And it says in there like he promises to stay, within their agreements of like responsibility and shit. Which is like what he wants
Oh yeah.
is he wants to be able to use nuclear power to build up their infrastructure. Like use nuclear power for producing electricity and shit like that, and help their country evolve. Which is fine, but what goes along with that
Nukes.
is nuclear weapons. Like it's a fine line between, okay, we're gonna use nuclear power just to make electricity, and if we drop this thing, on top of a fucking rocket and just shoot it off in the atmosphere, and it's gonna land somewhere, it's obviously there's a lot of science between those two things, but
Right, but I'm sure that they could find some stuff out. Them guys are pretty creative over there, from what I've been told.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, no, that's this whole thing, and the good and the bad and the ugly of what happened the last 4 years. It is what it is. But I mean, the apology tour of what I call the apology tour of Obama giving money away to other countries for no reason other than because we can, I guess, when we don't need to. That's kind of a ridiculous thing. And then to have Biden come in and these guys think like, oh, okay, Trump's gone now, so we can get all of our money funding back. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not a politician,
Right.
I'm not gonna claim to be a politician. Sometimes I want to get into political conversations, but then I'd like stop myself because I'm like, first of all, like I've said, I think almost every podcast so far, like I said, is like I'm kind of fucking retarded. So I really don't want to get into like a political argument, but there's so much bullshit going on that it's all political is what it is. It's all political.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at everybody else in their day-to-day lives, they're just trying to live their life, and then all this other shit's going on, and people are trying to change things, and move things here or do this or do that, or it's like, can you guys just agree not to screw us for once? Like that'd be cool. Like if we could just not get screwed in the process, I'd like that once.
Mm-hmm.
Like do something that might actually help us. I don't know. I don't care left, right, middle, center, libertarian, whatever. Like just do something that helps instead of like. So my big beef is like right now is that last stimulus thing, and I'm gonna try and say this as neutral as I can, but it's like in the bill, as far as I understood it, they were gonna give Americans $600, but then on top of that, in the foreign aid part of that, they were gonna give tons of money to other countries, and I'm like, okay, one, we're not the police force for the rest of the world, even though we are. Two, we're not the bank for the rest of the world. Leave that to China. They own most everybody else's debts as well. So let China do that banking thing. My big thing with that is like, if you're gonna help your country first. Don't start offering like if your plane is going down, put the mask on yourself first before you help somebody else, right? Like,
Right.
give the money to your country that the people may need it or may not. I don't know, but don't give it away to other countries. Like, what does that do for you?
Dude, I went down a rabbit hole the other day,
Okay, this is always good.
and I was watching. I don't know how it started. I don't remember what I originally Googled, but I ended up watching like an hour and a half of just Ronald Reagan speeches with music behind them. I don't, I don't know how I got there, but I
So
did.
patriotic.
I was listening to these and I was like, "Ooh, I think I felt my dick move."
Yeah, that
But
sounds about right.
there was all kinds of shit that he was saying where I was like, "God damn, we need to hear that. We need to hear that today." Like one of the main points that's like right on the top of my head is like, um, what we need to realize as a country is that the federal government does not have a country. The country has a federal government.
Right.
Like without, like it was basically like it everything applied to today. Whereas like we need to understand and realize that the government is not running anything. Like once we figure out that we run it, we will overthrow the government like immediately. Like I was like sitting here watching all that shit, and I was like, dude, I'm so fired up. Right? I was like, giddy up. Okay, I got to go turn my smoker down real quick because this motherfucker's going off. And Morgan has one of my boots in the backyard, so give me 15 seconds. Okay, cool.
So you're all hyped up on Reagan.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fired up. I've watched like too much. No, I can't say that. I didn't watch too much. Nobody can watch too much Ronald Reagan speeches with music behind it.
Oh man, so excited about Reagan. Which I mean, don't get me wrong,
I love him, dude.
I love Reagan speeches. They're
I think
good.
I'm gonna write him. I think I'm gonna write him in on the next election.
Just yeah, that's good. Do that. There's people who I mean, just remember there's people out there who voted for Kanye West. So, um,
I mean, I wrote in Eisenhower,
yeah.
Dwight D. Eisenhower, like 3 elections ago.
So your first election you could vote in?
Yeah,
No. Then your second.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even vote the first one.
Math is hard.
I think it was Obama.
Bush.
It was when Obama was running for his first term. Is when I wrote in Eisenhower.
Yeah. I can't remember. Anyway. But yeah, that's there was a lot of good speeches back then, but it kind of goes back to the same statement that happens throughout history all the time is hard times make good men make good times make soft men.
Soft men make bad times.
Yeah, it's the same, just ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. It always happens, and I'm not saying we need another world war, please don't take it that way, but at the same time it's like, because we've been in the Middle East for over 20 years now.
Yeah, and I don't remember who it was. I was listening to like an excerpt from the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
And he had a guy on there and he was like, I never want another 9/11 to happen, but I'm dying to have like a 9/12.
Yeah.
Where he's like, do you remember what it was like after 9/11? Like, dude, there were American flags everywhere. Like, people were so nice. Like, you're driving through the city, and people are just like, people would like let you over. Like, everybody cared about everybody. They weren't worried about themselves. They were like, get in here. Like, people were giving food away. People were doing all kinds of shit. He's like, I'd never in a million years would wish to have another 9/11, but I would give anything to have a 9/12.
Yeah. I mean, that
And
was
I was like, yo, that's like on some level kind of fucked up. Where it's like, dude, you're like basically asking for some kind of a terrorist attack or some kind of a national disaster, but at the same time, it's like, is that what we need to bring us back together? I don't know.
I don't think he was asking for that. I think he was asking for his people to stop being dickheads. I mean, in reality, I mean, everybody's out for themselves these days, and doesn't help anything with social media.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean, I am too.
Like,
It's like I don't have social media, but like I don't fucking do anything for anybody else.
yeah,
I mean, like to the level like if I'm driving and someone needs to get over, like yeah, I'll let them over. I'm not gonna let four people over, but I'll I'll let one or two people over. Like
1, 2, screw you, third guy, you get out of the way.
yeah, straight up.
Okay,
I mean, I take care of my dogs. I take care of my wife. Like these kind of things. But I was like, I'm not going out of my way to join like a charity group. you know.
right.
So I mean, on one sense, like I'm just as guilty as everybody else.
Yeah, I think there's a proponent to being like caring about your own house too, but I think we've gotten so divided. I would say as like,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, it started way back when, and that's like, especially around the Bush election. I was too young to talk on this, but I heard about this from an older guy. He's like, the polarization has happened for years.
Oh, it's happened for a while, but when it was really big was like when I really noticed it was when swine flu came through.
Yeah.
Like when the swine flu hit in like 2013,
Mm-hmm.
like H1N1.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was that shit online where it was like, do you have H1N1? And it was like, have you come into contact with somebody who has it? No. Have you shared body fluids with somebody that has it? No. Do you watch CNN? Yes. No, you don't have it. And then it was like, come into contact with somebody who has it? No. Have you shared body fluids with somebody who has it? No. Do you work at a hospital? No. Do you watch Fox News? Yes, you have it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and then that's where that whole like polarization like really picked up, and it was mostly like in the news, really.
Well, yeah.
Where it was on the news outlet that you were watching is what you got, and then now it's like it's expanded to the whole country.
It's
Like
almost like,
everybody is fully divided.
I mean, I mean, it's bad. It's like, and I mean, people who are so, it's so funny because people are doing what everybody's done over history, is propaganda for years, and they've been doing it so well now that people think like, so from the basis of it, the idea behind it is that certain groups think that the other groups are racist and bigots, and the other group thinks that they're a bunch of dildo toting bong users. I mean, that's just, I mean, that's just I mean, that's just a quote that I heard once.
I love it.
Yeah, the actual joke. I think it was.
Bong user.
I think I sent your sister a joke once, just as a joke, and
Oh, good job.
oh yeah, and she thought it was hilarious, and it was extremely charged like that. So it said that something about a civil war, and the joke went something like, "Well, that's fine because one side will have all the guns and ammo, and oh, candle ad again.
Sponsor me, dog. Sponsor me, dog.
The but I said the one guy responded with, "That's fine because one side will have all the
Oh
ammos and
yeah.
guns, and the other side will just be sitting around throwing dildos and bongs at each other."
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, if I didn't have the job that I have now, I would be a bong toter for sure. I would 100%.
I mean, I'm not against it. You do you, boo boo.
I'd be smoking every day. I think I was talking to somebody at work about this yesterday. I believe that when you get out of the military, when they hand you your DD 214, they should hand you your medical marijuana card. I think that that should be a thing.
I think it also should be a thing where you don't lose your rights to guns if you get a medical marijuana card.
No, you don't.
Pretty sure you do.
Google.
Yeah. Because that was a big deal. Because that was a big deal here in Illinois for a while.
No, because Will's got one.
Will, if you're listening to this, good for you, man.
Well, also, unfortunately, the other day, all the guns that I own, I went boating with my buddy, and all of my guns, I took them. We went my shotguns and my handguns and everything. They all fell overboard in the swamp.
And there's just no way of getting them back.
Well, there was gators in there, so I wasn't gonna go down and try to find them.
But yeah, one of those is mine.
Oh yeah, one of them is yours. Sorry.
What's up, Bubba?
Do you lose gun rights? Motherfucker, dude. You know, okay. One thing that I hate about getting a new phone. So I just got this new phone, right? And it's not even like I didn't even just get it. I got it November, and it's February. But like the space bar, like I'll show you that. Like the space bar right here is like smaller.
Oh no.
And it's like just off to the side even more. So like when I'm typing, you can see like there's the space bar and then there's the period right there. So whenever I'm typing, like I just typed like that whole thing where I was like, do you lose gun rights when you get a medical marijuana card? Every time there's supposed to be the space, there was a period. Because it's like, that's where I put my
period.
thumb to hit.
You, period.
Yeah, straight up.
Lose, period. Your, period.
The movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Where the movie theater, like, we thought you was a toad. Okay. All right. Back to this.
By the way, I think it's pretty much Joe's favorite movie of all time, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
It's a great movie. If you haven't seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, you need to watch it.
It's the only movie that the album from the movie sold more copies than the actual movie.
Yeah, the Soggy Bottom Boys, dog.
Yeah, man.
I was jamming out to them yesterday. I was jamming out to them right before I got and sucked down into this Reagan rabbit hole.
So what we're saying here on the podcast is Soggy Bottom Boys, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Reagan speeches with music. What happens? Yeah. It correlates.
Yeah, for sure. People that play bluegrass music are some of the most patriotic people.
You're watching the YouTube video. That is Captain, our resident white German Shepherd.
Mm-hmm. That's my boy. This is the great Boobah. The wise Bebo. The courageous Bubba. The one and only Captain O'Houlihan. Just Captain, sorry.
Where'd the O'Houlihan come from? So, do you lose your guns with the medical marijuana card or not, Mr. Periods?
I don't know. This is as far as I've gotten so far. Do you?
Oh, good.
Your gun rights. Fucking periods. If you have a felony. If you have PTSD. Do you have to give up gun rights to get a medical card?
I assume they meant medical marijuana card.
I think you're right.
Oh! And it's on record.
Do what?
I said, and it's on record.
What? Oh, that I said you're right?
Yeah.
Bitch, you're just like my fucking wife, dude. I fucking tell you you're right. I'm telling you you're right all the time. You just only remember when I tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah, there's most
However,
people.
the federal law is currently clear. Marijuana users, even those with a medical license, are using a controlled substance, so they are prohibited from owning a gun per the Federal Gun Control Act at this time, no matter what Texas state law and regulation permit or specify.
I love how it had to say Texas in there, just because it's like
Yeah.
the gun-toting capital of the world. Is like I'm pretty sure Texas has most of the guns, and I say that because it's like the second largest state we have, but also because it's just Texas. Like it's known that if you're gonna say anything about guns, Texas has to be in the fucking sentence. Now,
Yeah.
I do want to talk about this topic. That get us down to a great rabbit hole, and this is gonna be a wonderful title for this podcast: Weed versus guns. All right, so if it's a
Yes.
controlled substance, isn't alcohol a controlled substance?
I don't know. Is it? Is it classified as a controlled
It's a
substance?
drug. It's a
But it. So like if it was up to me, if you're saying that cannabis or marijuana or whatever is a controlled substance, then I think alcohol is a controlled substance.
yeah. That's what I'm
But
saying.
is it a controlled substance?
The best argument I
Okay.
ever heard.
Stand by.
Okay.
Stand by.
Well, I'm gonna say the argument that I heard on this one
Go ahead.
while you're googling it. The best argument I ever heard from somebody is that weed is illegal, but I've never seen a violent guy on weed. But if you come back in the next day to work and you test hot for weed, say test hot, piss hot, whatever you call it, you're got a striker off the job, right? Yet the best argument I ever heard for that was, okay, that makes sense. A guy who just smoked weed a week ago can still pop, yet a guy who drinks 6-pack of beer every night and beats his wife, he's fine to come to work the next day because he's hungover.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
and don't get me wrong, I like beer too. A lot of people who do like beer. I mean, that's fine. Whatever. You can drink beer. I'm not saying you're an abusive asshole. But, like, that the crazy part to me was that was our buddy Derek actually who said it. He's like, you can go get high a week ago and get in trouble, but if you go home and beat your wife every night and they're an alcoholic, you're fine. You can come to work. That's whatever. Like,
Oh my god.
okay. I mean, it's just that's kind of my take on it is like, if you're gonna say one thing's a controlled substance, another thing's a controlled substance. Now,
Well, so alcohol and tobacco are two things that are not included as controlled substances in the Controlled Substance Act.
because they make the government so much money.
Probably. I mean, and realistically, that's probably what it is. Is this the whole reason why everything's structured the way it is? Where like you can drink as much as you want, but you can't smoke weed, and except for like certain like states, is because what if I just turn this thing way up? Hang
Yeah, that's what I do. Turn it way up.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just keep it down though. Um, no, it's the way everything played out before. You know,
Well,
it
yeah,
has nothing to do with what the substance actually is. But no, alcohol is not considered a controlled substance, which is, you know, part of the issue.
yeah. So
But I know that for a while, or an argument that I read was like, you can't smoke weed like you do drink and go to work because there's no way for them to test whether or not you're high or not.
right,
Because they could be like, "Hey, man, you seem like you're under the influence of alcohol. It's a breathalyzer that gives you an accurate right now." But they're like weed, like, "Hey, man, you look pretty high. I need to take this drug test." Well, I was like, "Well, have you smoked at some point in the last like 4 weeks?
right,
Because then you're going to be high." But I did. Somebody told me that they do have something now where they can tell whether you smoked like within like the last 2 hours or something,
I mean,
which is
that's
what they need.
yeah,
Because like, dude, that shit would be so beneficial. I was talking to somebody about this 2 days ago or yesterday, where I was like, I wish that they gave out medical cards to anybody who gets out of the military. Because like, I don't even give a shit. I don't want to just get high and lay on my couch. I just want to be able to sleep. That's
right,
all I want. I want to fucking get all of the benefits that go along with it. I don't want to be, like, hey man, like I don't want the stereotypical pothead. I just want the benefits. But I
right.
can't do it because I have for my job, I have a commercial driver's license, which is governed by the
Federal government.
Federal Department of Transportation. So it doesn't matter if it's legal in whatever state that I'm living in; it's still illegal as per the federal government.
And for anybody else who has a CDL, I have CDLB, he has CDLA. Anyone who has a commercial driver's license, if you don't already know this fact, because I didn't know this fact because I thought it only applied to CDLAs, your BCA count for driving is half.
Oh yeah, no, that's anybody who has a CDL knows that. Like if you have a CDL, okay. Let me specify. If you have a CDLB and you got it a bullshit way, like going through the fire department, like somebody else here, and didn't have to take an actual driver course and go to the DMV and do like 4 different tests
I do
for
a
a
test.
CDLA. How many tests do you have to take?
2. Actually 3.
Okay, I had to take 4. Did you have to take an air brake test?
Yeah.
Did you have to take a combination test?
Yeah.
You had to take all that?
I did take a combination test.
And you didn't know?
So what I'm saying is like it's a B, and I knew that law applied to the A driver's license, like the A CDLA. I thought it was just CDLA drivers because they're driving semis. We have a 0 tolerance policy on the fire department, so I figured that was kind of like duh on the fucking part for the B, like a CDLB with emergency vehicles, and I got the air brakes and the combination, so I could drive all CDLB stuff. But it started with the fire trucks.
Yeah. So anybody who has a CDLA, I can guarantee you knows that.
Right. But the guys that I know,
you have to take a full on course.
right? The guys I know with CDLBs, it was kind of like a discussion topic. It's like, does that apply to us? Does it not apply to us? Are we not driving? Because we're not.
You and I talked about that too because, when we moved all my shit down here, we got that big Penske truck.
Yeah, and I had a CDLB.
I don't think you need a CDL to drive this thing, but I was like, fucking do you? I don't know. It's a 21-foot box truck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at what point is it considered a commercial vehicle? You know, is it?
What's the most uncomfortable box truck you have? So this guy, changing topics. So everybody, I think we all agree on the fact that weed has benefits. I don't agree with the whole like sitting around your house getting stoned all day, but if it has actual benefits to you, like I'm not that narrow-minded. Like,
yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like if that's how you want to live your life, like I'm not gonna tell you not to do it. If you just want to sit at home and smoke weed all day and collect, free money from your parents, like free money from the government, I'm kind of against. But like, if you need it, whatever, sure. I don't want to get into it. If all you want to do is smoke weed all day and then complain about how things aren't going right in your life, it's like, well, obviously it's because you're not doing anything about it. That I have a problem with. But if you're like, I want to smoke weed for fun and I have a good job and I do things all the time, I just do it for fun. Sure, people drink for fun. I get it. People, do all kinds of shit just for fun. I get it. If you want to do it medicinally, I'm 100% behind you. But if you're doing it as an out, as an excuse, like, oh no, my life is just falling apart. I just can't do anything. I'm like, well, maybe don't spend money on weed and actually go to the gym and put time into your life.
words of wisdom. So we're moving him down to Texas, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit on one of the previous podcasts, but he called in to get a Penske truck to move the rest of his stuff down shortly before he got engaged to his wife. And he said that he was calling to the Penske truck driver people, and he was like, all right, what kind of truck do you got?
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I had a lot of shit to move, so I was like, I need a big box truck, basically. And so I was like, what size trucks do you guys have? And he was like, oh, we've got a 16-foot, a 21-foot, I think is what it was. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I probably don't need a 21-footer. So I was like, I probably could just do the 16-footer. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, actually, I mean, right now everybody's using 16-footers. They're not using 21-footers, or what, based on like what people were using and what their availability was. A 21-footer was the same price as a 16-footer.
Right.
And he was like, so it's completely up to you. You can get, just go with the 16-footer, and then it's easier to drive and whatever, or you can get the 21-footer and you have the extra space in case you need it, which I ended up needing it. So right. It's a good thing. But he was like, so which one do you want to go with? And I was sitting there, I was like, man, I really don't know. I went back and forth on this for like 30 minutes. And the deciding factor is Garrett, I don't know. He's really not that bad anymore. But for a long time, Garrett did not understand that being a co-pilot was a privilege. He didn't understand that if you ride shotgun, you're not a passenger anymore. You're a co-pilot. You're like a DJ. You're a navigation guy. Your job is to stay awake and keep the driver company. If we got in the vehicle and drove longer than 25 minutes, this dude was falling asleep. And it was the most irritating shit in the world because it wasn't even like, oh man, I'm just so tired. I'm fighting my eyes. I can't. Like, no, he didn't even try. Didn't even try to stay awake. He would just be like, oh, I'm tired, and then pass out. So I finally told him, I was like, every time you fall asleep, I'm pulling over. I'm pulling over. I'm not gonna wake you up. I'm just gonna pull over, and then whenever you wake up, we'll start driving again. And it was when we were driving back from Evansville, Indiana. And every time I started to pull over, he would wake up, and then would get super pissed off. He was like, dude, we could be home by now. And I'm like, I fucking know. Quit being a bitch. But anyway, so he used to be like the worst co-pilot. And then now we're getting ready to do this long road trip. And by the way, it was so well planned out that I was awake all day. And then we left that night. So I was like, hey, let's stay up all day long saying bye to everybody and then drive all night, which was like a 16-hour drive, and then get there, and then let's unload everything. So it was so super well planned out. It's really well planned out.
On the weekend, by the way. It was one weekend.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday to Sunday, and I had to be back in Illinois by Sunday night, Monday morning for class.
Yeah. Okay, so the story, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going back and forth on whether I need a 16 or a 21 footer, and I was like, man, I really just don't know. I really don't know. And so eventually I was like, hey man, I'm talking to the Penske guy. I was like, hey man, which one of those is the least comfortable to ride in? And he was like, probably the 21 footer. The 16 footer is more on like a van chassis. The 21 footer is more on like a truck chassis. And I was like, give me the 21 footer. And he was like, what? And I was like, I have a passenger, or I have a guy that's going with me that, and I told him just that. I was like, I have a guy going with me that doesn't understand that shotgun seat is a co-pilot, not a passenger. So I need him to be uncomfortable enough to not really be able to sleep. And he was like, I got you. That's how I decided to get a 21 footer, is because it was going to be more uncomfortable to ride in.
Go team. Yeah, so that, to finish out that story, we left at like, so this guy had a plan. He was getting engaged to his wife that same day. So he left that part out. But part of it was the most genius thing I've ever seen in my life. He got engaged, and in the same night, made his future wife extremely happy, and at the same time was able to get in a truck. He became the rock star of the day and leave. He did every...
like a matter of hours. Like, put it off all day long, and then it was like Christmas time or whatever. Drove out. We were hanging out with my folks like all day, and it was like I had packed the truck the day before, so like all we had to do was like get in it and leave. Like that's all. Like it was ready to go. And so the day we leave, I spent all day hanging out with my family and my girlfriend at the time, and then it's like mid afternoon, kind of late afternoon, and we go out to like, and I proposed to her and everything like that. So now we're engaged. We go to meet her or talk to her parents, but then they're not home. So we come back to my parents and we show them. And by the time we get back to them, it's like 8 o'clock. Like I think I probably proposed to her at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
When we were supposed to be leaving.
No, you ignoramus. I told you we were leaving later. We were 100% on time with my schedule. I told you an early time because you are terrible with times. We were on time. And this story is a perfect example also. But so anyway, I proposed at like 6 o'clock. Then we go to her parents' house, but they're not there. So we come back to my parents' house and we get there by like 8 o'clock. And then like I told Garrett, I was like, yo, we're leaving at like 6. When I was planning, I was like, okay, we're probably going to leave by like 9 o'clock. So we get back to my parents like 8. hang out for like an hour. Garrett shows up at 8:30. I was like, all right, man, let's fucking roll. And we leave the house at like 9 o'clock.
You also
So,
told me, I said, hey man, what's going on? I texted you. I was like, hey man, you ready to go? And you're like, no man. You told me to be there at 8:30 because you just proposed. You told me 6 originally, and then you texted me and said, hey, never mind, don't be there till 8:30.
yeah, I know.
Okay. Just make
That
sure.
that was 100% to my plan.
Okay. I just make sure everybody in the story understood that I didn't like get told 6 and not show up till 8:30. It's not 2.5 hour problem.
Oh, no. No, I told you 6 o'clock originally because I knew you were going to do some dumb shit and then try to take a nap for a while and then get ready to go. And so I was like, dude, we're leaving at 6 o'clock. So that you would be like at the very least, awake by 6 o'clock.
Fair enough.
Because you are awake for me to give you the information to be like, nah, man, hold off for like 2 hours.
And I was irritated as all shit when I got this text. I'm like, oh man, you're putting us back. We're not going to get there till like the next day. Like, we're going to hit this problem and I'm going to be late coming back. I'm going to miss my flight. Like, I was irritated, but I didn't realize that was all part of his plan until like
100%.
now.
Yeah.
So anyway, the smart play that he did is he did the whole cowboy rides away thing. Is he made his now wife super excited, so happy, and then he didn't have to deal with a single soul because he jumped in a truck with me and went back to Texas. Like, not a soul. He didn't have to go to any parties. He didn't have to go to any like meeting friends and stuff. He didn't have to say hi to anybody. He made the woman he loved happy, and he got in a truck and said, "I'm out later," and left.
Yep.
And we drove through the night. I drove the first part of it because like I need to sleep at some point, and so I drove for 6 hours straight. And then at some point, that Joe was supposed to sleep. He did, because we were just still. He's all excited, and I'm excited because we're on this road trip. It's awesome. We're having a great time.
Well, I'm a good co-pilot.
Yeah, sure. I told you to sleep. So then I sleep for like, I don't know, 2-3 hours, and then I look over at him.
Slept for like 3 hours.
Yeah, and then I look over at him, and he's like playing like Call Me Maybe on his iPod, like staying awake, like just bouncing around. I'm like, all right, man, let's switch.
Well, there was a period of time while you were sleeping where I was like, but then like when it starts to get light out, like the sun's like just starting to come up, and then like I'm still like my eyes are like still in night mode. I don't really know how to describe it. Where I'm like okay, it's still dark out here, and then like my brain realizes that like the sun's coming up, and I'm like, oh, it's brighter. Then all of a sudden I'm like, bink, I'm awake.
Yeah.
And then I was fully awake by the time that you woke up, and I was like, I'm fucking hungry though.
Yeah.
We're gonna find some food, and then we drove for like another 3 hours trying to find some food, and then finally found like some Denny's.
Yeah. And we stopped there.
And then you drove for a while.
Huh?
Got to Houston and then drove to the house. Didn't go to sleep. Unloaded all of my shit. We had like 45 minutes where we were just sitting around bullshitting.
Yeah.
And then had to leave to take the truck back and then to get you to the airport.
We actually had time to eat dinner, so we did do that. We had I got
time to drop the truck off at Lowe's. Go to a barbecue joint.
Mm-hmm.
Grab some barbecue and then hit the airport.
Well, then after that, it gets better. So, the first time it snowed last year, in 2020, for like the fall after the fall, was in November. Just so happened to be the same weekend that I was coming back. So I'm amazed my flight didn't get canceled. So I make the plane, supposed to be in by like 9, something like that. My flight lands at 9. I'm the only plane that landed at Indy. I think it was Indy. And my brother comes to get me. Well, I'm so tired from the night before that it's snowing out. And we have to go like super slow because the weather's just trash. And so I drive for a little bit and then I'm too tired and I pull over. My brother drives the rest of the way. I finally get back to my truck in Rantoul at like, I want to say it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I finally get back after this whole like drive back thing that we did. And then I had to be up at 5:30 to go to class the next day. Luckily for me, it was drawing class, but I went home after drawing class and slept till like the next morning. But that was our road trip adventure. And the next time we got to do a road trip like that, we're breaking it up in a couple days. And I'm taking time off work. No, straight through. Straight through again?
Straight. 100% is going to be straight through. It's going to be 100% straight through, but the second part of your statement is right. Take off a couple days from work.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, I'm going to be packing for a while, and then I'm going to fly you down here to help me load everything up. And then when we leave, we're leaving. Leaving. Like we're going straight through.
Gotcha. So yeah, that was our moving story there. Got way off of Reagan, weed, and guns and everything else.
Whatever. It is what it is.
It
is what it is.
Any other current events for today?
Another moving story.
Another funny story?
I could tell another moving story.
No, let's not. Let's not tell that moving story.
But it's so good.
It's not good because then I got to hear about it for the rest of the day because you're just gonna be fired up about it
for the rest of your life. Honestly, I don't think I'm ever gonna let you really live it down.
Okay. Well, the good news is that when you moved to Luke understood the concept of be ready, and you showed up and the kid had everything ready to go, and he's like, "Nope, I'm ready."
Yep. They did.
But any other current events you got going on?
No, that's what I got for now.
Well, I'm gonna cut this one short, guys. Today, we appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm glad you guys got to spend the time with us. We will be recording again next Sunday. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I hope you guys have
my audio comes through better this time than last time.
We're still trying to get that figured out and work through it, and hopefully next week we will for sure have a more solid plan on the audios. If this one works great, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, but if this one has problems again, we're going to figure out something else. But appreciate you guys' feedback, appreciate you guys subscribing. Please leave a review or comment or message us questions or things that you guys would love to hear about on the podcast. Also,
if it's something you want us to talk about, want us to discuss, you want our opinion on, want advice, or if it's just feedback, good or bad, I don't care. I want to hear it. Like if you're even just like, you guys suck, I don't even like listening to you guys. Well, you listen enough to know that, so I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. Just tell me.
That, and I'm going to link all of our socials down below like usual. So if you guys want to catch us, we're stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, and then possibly one night during the week. But if you guys want to catch us on Twitch, you can. All of our other stuff, the email and business email and all that stuff will be linked below if you guys want to leave us a comment or a question or concern. So you guys have a great rest of your week.
Have a good